Hey, how's it going, everyone? I got a little bit of something different to do today. I mixed up some shellac flakes with some mineral oil about a month ago, I suppose. Just let it sit somewhere and just slowly evaporate any water that's in the mineral oil. And believe it or not, there's actually water in there, enough to evaporate at least. And I've made a nice little shellac mix. So I'm going to try it out. Just trying it out in that piece that I did the other day. Did a little bit here already. See, I did the top. My little mix here. It's come out more like more of a thick consistency now than being runny. I bought a kilo of shellac flakes a while ago, so it gives me a little bit to play with and experiment with. Here we go. Definitely comes out a different colour, that's for sure. See if I can do it with a bigger paintbrush. How you going, Chris? Just trialing out my shellac and mineral oil mix. Nice and shiny. Wait till that dries, that'll be nice. I mixed up some shellac flakes with mineral oil. Yeah, it's just shellac flakes and mineral oil. It takes a long time to dissolve, so I just put it to the side and let it do its thing. Really, and that's how it came out. Not too bad consistency, really. Yeah, I'll show you the flakes if you want. I just prefer to buy it in bulk. Then I don't have to worry about it. Take the dust off of it. Yeah, and then you can make it to the thickness you want it, you see. This is just one brand. I'm sure there's plenty of brands out there, but look, Kilo. Haven't even used half of it. Once I found out how sanding sealer was made, I wasn't buying it anymore. I paid $60, between $60 to $90 for a kilo of it here. I don't know what it's going to cost your way, but yeah, just complete experimental, really, if anything. See, it's that much experimental. I didn't even write the amounts on it. I just read what was in it, and that was it. just to test it, you know. Yeah, that's And then I'll see if I can find you an example. We've got this stuff here, right? This is twice the strength that you would buy in the shops. Just that there, and you can see through it. Yeah. I like it a little bit stronger than that. Doesn't look much stronger in there though, does it? But it's a 1.5 pound cut. Have a look. Just look up sanding sealer, how much you need and stuff like that. And then, you know, most people would only do one or half or something. Or that was full when I did it, and that was well over 6 months ago. And instead of buying little bottles like this, I buy 4 litre bottles and just fill these ones up. So much easier, eh? Right, so I've got this fella here to finish. I did a fair bit last night. The camera on, that'll be good. I've gone in a fair way. So, gone into about there. Right. What I really want to do is come out the sides. Out these side bits here. Keep going until it's out the sides and then trim it up a little bit. So, moved my lathe about 1.5 feet away from my shed wall so I could swing my tool around. Smashed my tool rest yesterday. When I was, because this has got a split in it, right? See that split? It basically goes right through it. And, hence it's going to come out in here, yeah? So, gets a catch every now and then if I get too eager beaver. Jumped up, smacked the tool down into the tool rest and took a chip out of my tool rest. So I have to file that back later and rectify that problem. Something on that.
How you going, John?
How you going?
Busy and hot.
Busy and hot, eh?
Yeah.
Better than busy and cold.
Well, the last couple of days we've had basically graduation parties that I was required
Right.
to go to.
Yep.
So I didn't want to do anything live from a teenage graduation party,
Yeah, that's
especially
fine.
me being the chaperone that's supposed to look the other way.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wondering, that's all. Hadn't seen you for 4 days.
And it has been blazing hot.
Yeah, that's our summers.
Well, this is early to have 90-degree weather. And we look at the West Coast, they have never had temperatures 110, 115 in Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
California. They're so hot, the roads are buckling.
I've spoken to Valerie, who lives in Washington, and she said that the heat wave they're having is incredible. Normally they'd only get about 80 and they're getting up to 120.
Yep. But then again, it's climate change and we cause it by the pollution we put in the air.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? You guys are having some, I mean, when it was raining, it was raining in New Mexico yesterday. And you got scored.
And the first for quite a while? Decent rain?
Yeah, 25. Joy said 25 years.
Yeah, and we had 15 inches of rain.
Yeah.
Over the last 4 days.
And we're having beautiful sunny weather. Stupid, isn't it?
Well, it's climate change, and we've done it to ourselves, and we keep ignoring.
Yeah. How you going, Joy? John says hello from the chat too, Bob.
Yeah, my tablet it blew up on me, so I don't have anything like that, so I can't follow chat. All I have is my cell phone until I can afford another tablet.
Thrashing your tablet out, eh?
Well, it's an Amazon tablet, and it was a good one, and it just rebooted the other day and came up with the static word Amazon and wouldn't go any farther.
Huh.
So,
weird.
Yeah, I've got to try to find a center here that knows what to do with it and see if I can't get it fixed.
Most of the time, you can hold down the volume buttons up and down and the home button or whatever, and hold them down until it brings up a certain screen, so you can reset it.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah, there should be a group of buttons you can just hold down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been busy making presents for little ones.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a bunch of little ones on its way, so little bandsaw work. Bandsaws for a lot of things.
Yes. Joy said if it's under warranty, just call Amazon.
No, well, it's 18 months.
Yeah.
Almost 18 months to the day. But I still put it in a request in, and I'm waiting to get back. Yeah, I'm doing what I do is I take plexiglass, and it goes on here on each side, and they go in with small screws, and it's a bank instead of a piggy bank. The idea is that kids can learn to save. So since we've got so many to do, I've got cars I turned out, birds.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the sanding because it's really hard to do a tight curve in a bandsaw because I haven't got a small enough blade for my big bandsaw that I can cut a tree in half with almost. It's a 220, two horsepower motor on it, so it'll put anything.
Bloody hell.
So I do the piggy banks. I just got to sand and paint them.
Yep.
And if, you know, it's the type of thing you can say if it's appropriate to your kids, there's no bullshit about it. So I got them.
There's no ball.
So I got them cut out. Now I'm getting them sanded and finished and painted.
Yep.
It's not wood turning, but this is enough to last presents through November is what I calculate.
Yep. Okay.
So I thought in the mood I can get it done, and when it gets really hot in the afternoon, too hot for my shed, the garage, I can go inside and paint in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that Wolverton now. That big lathe from Robbo.
Oh,
The motor's too old to be converted. All the insulation inside it's knackered. So, the electrician suggests the only thing that can be done about that lathe is to buy a new motor, and I'm not doing that. So,
and that's what, $100, $150.
oh, I don't know. Might be a bit more than that, I think, because it's a pretty decent sized motor that was on it originally.
Well, you can, if you can go to a motor shop, you can probably get a rebuilt one a lot cheaper.
It's all right. He's gonna have a look at his others and pick me a different one. How you going now?
How we going today?
Yeah, right. I'm going, you know.
So we need to find you a 2-horse, 240-volt motor.
No, he's got another lathe lined up for me, Bob.
Is that lathe died, Jay? Or
No, the one that Robbo was gonna give me.
Right, yep.
The motor's too old to convert.
Right, okay. Well, you might have to, see what he can get, but he can still go for a bloody variable speed.
Yeah, it's because it's 3 horsepower, 3 phase rather.
And I assume it's not a one that you can do a variable speed on.
No, it has to have the conversion on the back. It has to go from delta to star.
Yeah.
On the back of the motor.
Yeah, but some of them can't be converted.
Yeah, the Sparky said that this one the insulation's knackered inside it.
Okay.
So he's got umpteen other lathes there. So he said he's already picked another one out. So we'll see, eh?
Bigger, smaller, or what did he say?
No, he can't go any bigger than that one. Otherwise, it'd be his 5-tonner. No, he's got a wood fast there. He said
Variable speed.
no, but in the scheme of things, when I'm getting a lathe for free, I'm not really that fussed about if it's variable speed or not.
I'm going to say if it's an old 3-phase, as long as it's not buggered, not too old, so it can go to delta. Or should I say star? Which one you need to go? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it needs to go star.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's the controller has to be able to control each of the legs separately.
Yeah.
In which case, you could go at variable speed.
Yeah. That's the ideal way. And reverse.
Yeah.
We'll see what this I'll have a chat with Robbo a bit later. He's the wood's arrived, so him and his granddaughter can make their beds now. So
right.
we're off doing that. So I'm continuing my splitting hollowing. It's got a big split there. I'll put it on a bigger screen. Hang on. There you go. It's got a big split there,
Okay. Yep.
and it comes right through to there. So hence it's in here too. So I'm going super slow, and I've gone in a fair way.
Yep.
Gone into about there. But just not enough to take the walls out. So that's what I'm aiming at now, is to try and knock the walls out.
Fair enough.
I had to move the lathe out about 2 feet away from the shed wall so I could get the friggin' tool around.
That's the advantage of having a reverse.
Amen.
What was that?
I said that's the advantage of having a reverse. You just do it on the far side.
Yeah, haha.
I was mainly thinking of the having the motor on the lathe Robbo's talking about. But
Sorry, I
anyway,
didn't hear a word. Didn't hear a word of that. What was that?
on the lathe Robbo's talking about.
Yeah.
I said if you go 3-phase and put an inverter on it, it's you got reverse as well. That's all.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
All the Powermatics are the 3-phase motor with a controller.
Yeah.
And one nice thing about the controller I have is that you can keep multiple settings in the controller.
Yes.
That way, I can go to the panel back of it, the controller, or put an extension cord on the remote panel, and I can switch between different complete configurations. Like if I got something really heavy, I want a slow start, because I don't want something being taken off the chuck unscrewing itself. I want to be able, they're just, I have 3 settings. I'm allowed A, B, and C programs. So I can switch between them for what I need.
Yep.
But it took me about 4 years and following different YouTube people and machinists to understand what it was and how to set. It contains the acceleration curve and deceleration curve. They can be a ramp up slowly and ramp down so it still supplies power, or you can have reverse torque in it to slow it down if you got a heavy load.
Okay.
And you want to slow it down, you can actually make the slow down portion slower. And not instantaneous, which would be the same as killing the power with the chuck running backwards. It could spin off.
Yeah.
So, but that's not something wood turners want to mess with.
You'd have to use the grub screw and screw the chuck down to the thread, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I do anyway, but I'm just giving that as an example of not wanting to stop a lathe instantly. Yeah, you can use the grub. I've got them. But the next thing I'm turning, and I just about got it just to be different, is this piece.
Yeah, that's an ugly piece.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and hollow out the trunk?
Well, I'm going to fill the gap in.
You're making an elephant.
Well, I want to be able to, I'm going to hollow out the center, but before I do, I'm going to take and cut a slice off here,
Yeah.
probably somewhere in here where it changes in size, and just take the bandsaw and cut that off because I want to make that, put a tenon on it so it sits back in.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to put lights and stuff inside of it.
That's a pretty big smoking pipe, Dr. Bob.
Yes. Yeah, it's a Hobbit pipe.
Mm.
But I've got somebody that thinks it'll look nice, so they're willing to pay me some good money for it.
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
And the electronics they gave me for it, I thought was very interesting.
You could send them my way. No.
Well,
Yep.
Yep.
There we go. Hippies, eh?
It's amazing what you can get in LEDs these days.
Yeah.
and
Speaking of which, I got to hit the road, guys. So I'm sitting
All
in
right.
the supermarket car park listening to you guys.
Nice one. Yeah. Can't you propel it out onto your speakers so everyone can hear
No.
it? All right.
Okay, catch you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Yep. but I'm going to bore some holes in it and do some carving with it, and then put this in my other ones with the little flames that flicker as if there's a fire burning down inside.
Yep.
And I happened to mention that to a neighbor, and she said, I've got just a piece of wood. It's out back, and I'd like to see it done, and offered me a flat $100 to do it.
Nice.
And it's going to be worth a lot more, but yet it's something I can put up with pictures and call it lathe art, because I haven't seen anyone doing that type of lathe art that I'm tinkering with now. Maybe it's just my brain's decaying, so I'm finding different things to do. Like I turned this piece into a candle.
Yep.
And it's rugged and rough, but yet the person that wants it, it's already hollowed out for the battery pack and everything in the bottom.
Yep.
And it's one of those tea light candles.
Yep.
So you can change the batteries. And I just got this all super glued together so nothing will come off. And now I got the rest of the carving and hollowing but I don't know what you call the guy. He loves, I think the term is stoned. He enjoys cannabis.
Yeah. Stoner.
That's what he wanted, because it matches a pipe that he had made you long before.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean it has to be turned and wired, and I've got all the electrical stuff to do it.
Yep.
Soldering irons and all. So
Last month, I mixed up some shellac flakes with mineral oil just to see what it would do. And I did one layer there, 2 layers there, and 1 layer there.
interesting.
Yeah, it didn't come out too bad. That's the normal wood there. It's got a nice shine to it.
That it did. Added some color.
Yeah.
Shellac, and well, it's an oil, and the shellac flakes, of course, would dissolve in it.
It just took a long time. That's why I left it. I just put it to the side and left it.
Oh yeah. Stirring in that wouldn't help that
No.
much. Well, it would, but it would put air bubbles in the shellac.
So it's just a bit thick. That's all right. Like that.
But that's easy to thin. Shellac.
Yeah.
I mean, all it is beetle poop.
Yeah.
Or today you could just say it's beetle shit, but
Yeah.
it's a common term used today for a lot of things.
So
Technically, it's a defecation.
yes.
But so you could heat it and put a little thinner in it, put it in a bottle to keep the dirt out of it, and use it over and over again.
Yeah, like that really expensive coffee that people drink that comes from an Indonesian cat date.
Yeah,
Have you seen that stuff?
yeah, I've heard of it.
So today I'm hollowing this out, but what I want to do is hollow it out to the point where it comes out the sides, out there and out there. So I've gone in about that far. Oops, that's really showing, isn't it?
But that's not going to come out the side.
Why not?
So you want to make an oval bowl.
Oh, I was going to leave it that shape, but just have it have slots in the side where the tools come through, but deliberately.
Okay.
So I figured if I went out to there, then the circle there is coming out this way, isn't it?
Yes.
So it should take out the side. That's what I want. I want to leave the top solid and the bottom solid, and just make it come out through the middle there.
Well, that'd be hollowing to do it. Definitely
Yeah.
hollowing. Your current hollowing tool will do it.
Yeah, I've moved my lathe about 2 feet away from my shed wall so I can swing my tool around a bit more.
Yeah. All the things that you would never think of until you got a lathe big enough to use the tool.
Yes. got to point the camera on where you're working on.
And it's just getting there on it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The filter.
Do you supply sandpaper to the woodworking shops or what?
No,
With that amount of sandpaper?
I buy it when it's on sale.
Yep.
The trick is you got to keep it dry. So I keep it in the summer months. I'm all right. There's some humidity in here, but I also have a bag of rice in a cloth bag that sits in the bottom. And rice sucks up water, so it helps keep it dry when there's a high humidity.
Yep.
But it's just a crafting storage box. Yeah, one thing I do, I have plate glass, and this is called float glass, 2 sheets put together, and it's perfectly flat.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, it's perfectly flat. It's a couple of microns off, but it was given to me. And when I get new sheets of sandpaper, one of the biggest problems that I have found, and I learned as a youngin', is that the way they make sandpaper by putting the adhesive down and then putting the powder on top of it and putting a roller through it and then blowing off the extra. But I was taught always to take, I'll do it over the side, is to take it on a right angle, the sheet, and run it over a sharp edge.
Yeah.
I was taught that it was called breaking the sandpaper. But it really is if you take a microscope or 40 grit, because if you do it with 40 grit, you should anyway, is the fact you can actually see where the particles are much more flexible.
Yep.
The hard particles aren't, but they're anchored better. But I always do it from all four corners over a sharp edge. Now, this edge won't cut you, but it's as close to a right angle as I want to get.
I do it over the lathe bed.
Yes, I do too, but I've got a tabletop on my lathe bed, just a sheet of particle board with a piece of wood underneath the width of the bed.
Yep.
And that's important because you can lean on it and it'll move a little bit up and down, but yet the wood is thick enough so as it binds. That way you can't just do this and throw everything back on yourself.
Yeah, I've done that before.
I know the hard way.
Yeah. My belly tells me every time. I've got something braced down, my fat guts pushes up against it.
Yep.
And pushes it off.
And my favorite utility tape, gaffer's tape. It's what's used in motion picture and television.
Cloth tape, we call it.
Well, it has a special, it is cloth, but it sticks well, but when you pull it off, it doesn't leave adhesive behind it.
Yeah, well,
that's the difference. And when you tear it, it's actually a cloth backing, so it tears in a straight line.
Yeah, see, I got it too.
Same. No, it's not cheap. Here, it's $18 to $20 a roll.
Yeah, this stuff like this, with the white on the back like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just rip it wherever you want.
And it comes off well. And the other thing is it doesn't leave residue, because if you're in someone's house and you're taping wires to walls and microphone lights overhead and you're taping the wires to painted surfaces.
Yep.
I used to do that type of stuff. I was in TV production and film, and I was for quite a few years before I got involved in the other projects. That was after I worked for the government.
Yep.
And, because I was I won't say brought up in it, but I had my first 8mm wind-up Bolex camera with 3 lenses on it, which was given to me by my grandfather. And you had to hand wind it. Then I got a motor for it. But it was considered, at that time, the top of the line for amateur photography. Like when Henry Ford did trips all over the country with his cars, and he'd take these big vacations with his friends, like Edison, and Remington, and and they would get together and they'd drive in his cars just to prove that a car could be used for camping. He actually invented a camper top for one of his trucks. Yep. And there's some decent movies still and shows stuff online that's been put out there from archives. But that's the type of camera he used because it had professional lenses and it wasn't cheap. But I was lucky to have one, and I got addicted. Oh. I did a lot of that work. In fact, I've got pictures of my cameras and editing suite when I won I can't say I won a contract. I was hired to do a section of the Alaskan Pipeline when it started. And I was the only one that out of 4 different production people, and two of them were fairly good sized companies that could actually photograph at below zero and get decent footage. Because I had 4 professional cameras, and I had 2 of them winterized. What that means is they take all the oil out of it and all the grease, everything. They have to strip it down. You just don't do it yourself because it's got to be done by a camera engineer or technician, and it's called winterizing. But I had to have it winterized to minus 40, which meant I couldn't bring it inside because the lubricant that was used on it would run away and turn to like water.
Yeah.
I'd have to pay the $600 to have it redone. Yeah. So I always kept it packed in ice or outside. And when I got my footage and it came processed and I was able to produce 9 programs, news programs, they offered me the contract for a section of the line, and I did it. But that's where I got involved in motion picture work because it was a technical thing and I just knew I could solve it. And afterwards it was, will you do one for the Park Service? We want something done here. We want, because, and I don't want to brag or anything because I don't tell people much, but I was listed on a Pulitzer Prize for being able to do Arctic photography for the pipeline, but there was a Pulitzer given, but there was 93 people that were listed on it. So I am one of them, and it was alphabetical, so I'm more towards the top. But being able to cope with and be able to do photography, still camera stuff. There was a lot of photographers who were filming at way below zero because they did the same thing that I did because it was common. But nobody had ever thought of it for movies. They had what they called a Barney, which is basically a heating pad like you can buy at the pharmacy or big box store. Plug it in. I sit on one at night for my back to relieve the muscle pain. But they're electric and you dial up the heat. But that's what they used to wrap around cameras to keep the film warm and the camera warm.
You know, you speaking of old film actually reminded me of a news report I seen yesterday on our local news. A man had some really old film stored safely, kept out of the sunlight and stuff like that. Yeah. And he had to call the fire department to come and safely remove it because he didn't know what to do with it.
Yes. And the reason being, I can tell you, is, and it had to be old film, like 1940s, 1930s version movie film.
Yep.
The film itself was not like we use today, an acetate. It was, I can't think of the name, but
they said it was an explosive material, so they had to put it in a bomb.
Yes, it is.
The fireys had to put it in a bomb-proof container to transport it.
They didn't use acetate then because it hadn't been nitrate.
Yep.
The film was nitrate film. Now here, if you got good nitrate film and it hasn't been too deteriorated, there are labs, and if you want to pay for it or it's of historic use, you can get it converted, but it's done in a equipment that's a vacuum, no oxygen to help start a fire. The rollers and everything, there's no metal in there. Everything is out of a type of synthetic plastic, all the gears and everything to do it, but they can go and take each frame and copy it over to digital format for you.
Yeah. Well, this one had some film in a metal box, and then they had films on reels that were just open. They were exposed, and they said too much sunlight will make them ignite.
Yes. Yeah, nitrate film is bad. We got, because of a lot of mining that took place in our western part of the country, gold mine, silver mine, and then later on other mineral mines, coal mines. There was a lot of people who were documenting it, and they found that they had movies and pictures of it, but they also left behind, if they abandoned the mine because there was nothing there, there was dynamite left behind, often in boxes. And of course, dynamite sweats. It's nitroglycerin.
Yep.
And even today, you've got to have a license and know how to use it and buy it. But they don't use dynamite anymore. They use synthetics that are much better. But the dynamite itself, the glycerin, nitroglycerin that is, leaks out of the old dynamite. And there people are still finding dynamite sticks that are sweating, is what they call. And that's when you call a park ranger, take a picture, take it to a park ranger, and then they'll call the right people and that know how to handle it. They go in their fancy suits and everything. But they're still finding stuff like that in some of the old mines.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me at all.
Let's just turn off crop.
Sorry?
No, I was just having.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Turn off the fan.
Okay.
Because if I turned my dust collector on, it probably made too much noise.
Talking,
So
to
I don't know.
talking to your digital missus.
Yes, digital misses. I wonder how good StreamYard is at knocking out background noise.
Sorry, I didn't get much of that.
No, I don't think it took enough of it out.
No, I didn't get much of what you said.
Yeah. Well, what StreamYard does is sample people's voices and the background. It's like doing a cutout of something like this, and you're used to the cutout. And StreamYard's used to that, the voice pattern that you have and I have, and it gets used to and recognizes the voice pattern of your lathe. And it can recognize it the same thing with cutting, but it's more random in audio pattern. But the big noise of the lathe and the motor and stuff like that, StreamYard just hears it and it says that this is repeated. It's a constant thing, and that's not what we want to broadcast. So,
Yes.
you know, it's got some intelligence in its audio sampling. Like I've got right over my head here the big dust collector that has a big double filter to it and a big fan in it. And I have it over my head because that way, when I have the shop fan on or a heater on in the winter, it blows this way and that sucks it right up.
Yep.
Except it costs more money buying filters because it plugs the filters more often.
What a sucker.
Yeah, I gotta change grits. This was a 4x8 when I got the original wood, so I had to split it down the middle.
Yep.
So one side of each of the wood has saw cuts on it here. And I thought I had most of them out because of the fine tooth. So one side's going to have 150 on it and then flip it over.
I'm pretty sure the kids won't notice.
Well, I will.
Yeah, I know.
one of the things that I really like using is I buy alcohol, and I spray it on the wood. That way
Yeah.
I can see the blemishes and where it needs to be fixed.
Yes.
And it evaporates. It is so lightweight it doesn't soak in. It's gone quick. And it's not rubbing alcohol, because rubbing alcohol is a lower percentage of alcohol, and they put additives to it so you can't drink it.
Yes.
And
ISO.
yeah, and I don't use that because I have found that some of the paints I've used, or if I'm using oil finishes, it reacts really funny when, well, this is straight grain wood, but if I'm working on something that, like this,
Yep.
if I use isopropyl alcohol, it'll actually show up, but it's like regular alcohol, except that it actually changes the color in some of the wood and causes the oil in the wood that causes some of this color and that to come out to really have an effect on it. You can't sand it out unless you sand really hard to get it out of the wood because it soaks in.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's sold here as alcohol stove fuel, like a person that would have an alcohol burner,
Yep.
you know, for a chemistry set.
Yep.
This is the alcohol. And it's clear. You can't drink it because, boy, you just can't drink it at all. But I know people that do, but it's not good for their liver.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I use this, it doesn't affect the wood at all.
Okay.
And it only costs probably about $4 more a gallon.
Oh, that's all right. It's not too bad. Hey, go on, Effie. Oh, God.
one thing I must say, I always try to find positive things out of negative.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the things I was asked by a neighbor of mine probably a year ago, 6 months into COVID or so, what is
Yeah.
the one thing that I really like that I have found that's more positive? And that is the people who are doing takeout or carry out. But here they were order it, they still delivered it, left it on your porch. Um, the typical, as we have, the takeout and carry out containers for food, and they snap shut tight.
Yep.
It's not like the old paper ones.
Or with the alfoil bottom and the paper lid.
And the bottom rim here matches this slot on top, so they stack beautifully.
Yep.
And I have found they come in so handy for keeping dust out of stuff that I use that's in common, like the different markers I have.
Yep. Do you want to tell Effie what you're doing there? Show her what you're doing? Yeah. No, they come in handy, all right. I keep containers like that too.
Yeah.
I'm bad for it.
Well, I find it keeps the dust out of them, and it keeps everything in a sensible order.
Yep.
And, they stack on top of each other beautifully.
Yes. Mate, just for you, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop my
doing
and I'll let you.
All
right.
Some banks. This is one that I use as a sample that I first started turning out quite a year ago, probably 20 years ago. And it's a bandsaw blank. And this one was actually, I had a shop, I used my grandpa's shop to do it, and planed and stuck two together, pieces of wood. But now I have my big bandsaw, so I actually get wood that's 4x6, 4x8 sheet scrap from construction, and I split it down the middle. And what I make are these banks, and I have some young kids coming up, and I want to get them done because part of the program I work with a couple of the kids' teachers at the local elementary and preschool. We have one live down the street. And what I do is I take plexiglass, simple plastic, and screw over them. So it becomes a bank, and to get your money out, you have to unscrew them. What I typically do is I get the screw that actually takes an Allen key to work it because it's a square notch in it. So it's not something that a typical kid would find and be able to use. So I just get them a cheap Allen key when I give it to them, and the parents get it, or an Allen wrench. And they can take the screws out to hold them in place. But it's for a savings bank, and they just put their money in them. And I make them. My father started this years and years ago when I was a kid, and supposedly his grandfather started doing it in Canada. So we've got the car. Of course, you got to have piggy banks. So there's the piggy to do a piggy bank with. Saving money is no bullshit thing. So we got a bull. And I cut them out. And because the wood is initially that wide, I am limited to what I can do because it's this wide here because it's a reinforcement for building homes, the big trusses. So I get the scrap, and the scraps I get are often just about long enough to make this one piece. And it's getting time for school, and it's the type of thing that the teacher down the street, this is one I've got sanded and ready to put a sealer on and then another coat. and then decorate it. Either that or I'll give it to her and the kids can do it, but then I'll seal it real well and I'll put a good polymer coating over it so the kids can sit and paint it themselves with watercolor. And at the end of the season, she can wipe it all off with water or alcohol and start again. Because I've done that for them before. But they have banks for teaching them how to count. And so I supply the banks for her and about 4 teachers in the school that use them. So right now, I'm taking the time to get them done. I've got 11 to do. So, because that's what they asked for. So I'm giving them a dozen anyway. But they'll use that for school this year. And at the end of the year, they'll give them to the students as an award. But I think it's a good thing to do, and it's something that I enjoy doing. Right now, I cut these out the last day and a half with my bandsaw. To do it with a scroll saw would take forever, being this thick. And I've got one, but it's a DeWalt, and I don't want to lug the motor down on it. So I use the bandsaw, and I use a big blade on my 19-inch saw, 20-inch saw, so I can split the wood down the middle. And then I use the smaller 6-inch or 8-inch, 8-inch saw to do all the inside with a small blade. So I can cut all this out with it. But there's still things like making the ears you got to do by hand and set that in. And you still end up with saw marks occasionally with the wood. You can't help that. So I just sand it and get them ready and then prime them. And this year I need 2 fully decorated the 2 teachers that are going to offer the project. And the rest of them will not have eyes in them. They'll be drilled, and the plexiglass plates will be on there, and the kids are going to work on it. So if they get a star or however she does it, it's their turn to do it. They'll take the screws out and put them in a little box, and the piece of plastic that goes over it goes in an envelope that the teacher keeps, and then they can sit and paint their pig any way they want it painted. And then when it's all done, and it's all done with watercolor, and this is all sealed, so as the watercolor won't go into it. And if it does, I just take and run it through a belt sander I got, because that's how it'll come out. But the kids were screwing around with the backside of it, so I just got to run it through a belt sander to get a rough cut on it. I'm just doing this one here because I don't want to make the noise of the belt sander, and the problem is my belt sander is not wide enough. I have trouble, the belt's not wide enough this way, so I end up with marks, and I try to get it even.
Yep.
And I find it just relaxing to sit and do it.
Yeah. All right. You can stay here and keep doing it if you want. I'm going to knock it on the head, but I can leave it live with you going if you want.
No, it's 11 o'clock here, and I probably ought to get in bed because I'll be up in 7 hours, and I can't help it.
Yeah.
I'm wide awake at 6 in the morning here. It's daylight time, so it's 6.
That damn body clock.
Yeah. And Riley doesn't help any because Riley has to insist on laying his head on my knee when I'm in bed.
Yeah.
And he's just too big to try to push out of the way. So if I get in bed early enough, he curls up by the big glass door in the rec room, and so he can stare outside and see if anything comes in the yard.
Yes.
And if he does, he comes running and jumps on me, and that can be troublesome because sometimes he doesn't know where he's putting his feet.
Ouch.
Yes, ouch. So
Hmm.
I close the door, and the only way he can get in is hit it with his nose, and he'll do it, but that thump will wake me up. I learned
Yep.
the hard way. Well, you
All right.
have a good night, and I'm going to
Yeah,
do
you
this.
too. Yep.
I'll finish this in 9 hours. I'll be out here again.
All right, I'll do a live in 9 hours, all right?
Oh, I could do that, but no one would be watching it.
Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you.
See you later,
That's it.
John.
I've got to get a tablet. Mine's gone. I'd like to get a regular, not just a tablet, but a laptop. But they're a little expensive for what I get.
Better start a GoFundMe.
Well, they run about $400 for a good one that you can actually use for streaming video and stuff like that. So, and if I would like to do that. That way I could do something, on a regular basis for people who want to follow this old fart.
Yep. I'll be there.
Alexa, turn the shop off.
I'm going to run away now. My food's getting cold.
Okay. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care,
See you
Mike.
later.